All right, today we're going to learn a couple new techniques. The first is going to be refluxing, how to set up a reflux apparatus, which essentially that is just heating up a reaction mixture. So in this case, we're going to have a round bottom, 100 ml to 50 ml, and we're going to add our acetic acid and our alcohol, and we're also going to add sulfuric acid. When we add sulfuric acid, we're going to do that in the hood, so we're going to want to have a stopper this week, because as we transfer things from the hood to the bench, we don't want to have any of those sulfuric acid fumes going anywhere. So we have it stoppered. We also should have a boiling chip in here, and you have it. Notice I have it clamped on the ground glass. I'm also going to use a thermal well this week. I'm going to have a cork ring. Be sure we're using cork rings. You can always have plenty of cork rings to hold our glassware. We're also going to use a cork ring here as a stand, right? And our thermal well is, of course, connected to our variac voltage. We're going to go to about 3 or 4 this week. We don't want it to reflux too high, and we'll talk about that in a second. But nothing should be plugged in or water turned on until somebody, your lab professor, has checked your apparatus. So now all we need to do, once we have our stuff here, we have it clamped in, we're going to add a condenser. So we can remove the stopper and put on a condenser. The condenser should have 2 water hoses, water in the bottom, so this one should be connected to the faucet, out the top. So this hose should be going to the sink. The top is open, right? We want it open. And when we're refluxing, right, we're going to be able to lower this down, this whole apparatus down. Right, and we want to make sure, right, this is touching the thermal well, so it's going to heat it up. We don't need any cat clamps here, and we want to make sure we can see, right, as we reflux, things are going to go from liquid to gas, and the cold water in the jacket here is going to condense it. So it's going to go from liquid and hit this cold water, then drop back down. And we're adding that energy over and over again. Right? So in this case, we don't want the reflux to go too high, right? You don't want to heat it up too much down here so that all the stuff evaporates. You never want a reflux to evaporation, right? Never want to heat on after evaporation. So you want your reflux thing to be right here. Also, your 60 minutes does not start until you actually see the liquid boiling in your round bottom, right? Your 60 minutes doesn't start until the actual reflux starts. So once you're done with the reflux, right, let it go for 60 minutes. What you can do now, right, the nice part about this is that since we have the cork ring and since we're clamped here, right, we can actually take this and raise it up, right? Raise it up, nice and easy, right? Right, you can move this to the side, right, since the cork ring is there. Now you let this cool down for a second, and we have to do a whole SEP funnel workup, where essentially we're adding some base to neutralize the acid, and that's one of the things you need to check. And we're going to do the similar SEP funnel separation technique that we've done before, where we use an organic solvent, and actually in this case we don't use an organic solvent, we just use the organic product we've hopefully made, and water, and we want to make sure we get the right layer. So make sure you check the density of your product and the density of water to make sure you get the right layer. At this point, once you've done your workup, right, you're going to retransfer everything to a round bottom again. So you dried this at this point, right? You're actually going to set up a distillation apparatus. And now you need to do this distillation apparatus whether you use the microwave reactor or whether you use the simple reflux apparatus I've shown here. So to do the distillation apparatus, you use a lot of the same things. You actually don't even need to clean your condenser. You can use the same condenser as before. And if you use the round bottom, if you rinse the round bottom quick, you can use the same round bottom. So essentially the same heating setup. At this point though, we're going to move this condenser. We're going to use our three-way adapter. Right? We're going to take this condenser now. Now we're going to need some cat clamps. We're going to put this here. Right, so our cat condenser there. Use a blue cat clamp. And we'll hold that in place. Now we're going to need a thermometer adapter. So we're going to put our thermometer here. We want to make sure the bulb is right on the joint, right? So reflux is a way to heat things up. Distillation is a way to purify things. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to lower this down. We're going to let this heat up, and we're going to distill over, right? So it's very similar to the closed, except this is just called a simple distillation. We don't need to add anything extra, so this is just the most basic, simple distillation apparatus. I would lower this down. We'll heat this up. Again, things will condense, and this will be a way to purify our product even more. And on the back end here, you should have either have a little Erlenmeyer, and perhaps have a vacuum adapter here in the end that you've clamped on. Right. that way, a little vacuum adapter that leads right into your earthen mire. You need to know the weight of your earthen mire, so you want to mass this before you start collecting, and that's what you'll use to figure out how much product yield you have, and then weigh it afterwards. So here's our whole setup. 2 cat clamps, thermometer adapter, heat up. This is the distillation setup. And you would do this after the workup with the SEP funnel, where you're neutralizing the acid, whether you're using the microwave or the reflux setup.